Mike, it's all you.
All right, we're going to get started. Here we go. Good evening, everyone. It's Monday, August 18th, 2025, and this is CPA Presents. My name is Mike Kasalniak. I am the CPA Flight Safety Chair. Tonight's topic is the Cessna Pilots Association. This presentation is going to be by Mr. Jack Rogers. Mr. Rogers is the Senior Vice President at Cessna Pilots Association. He is also a recent graduate of MSU Denver and competed on their national championship winning aerobatic team while at the school. The Cessna Pilots Association is one of the largest and longest running Cessna specific membership groups in the world. With a focus on aircraft systems, analysis, and support, the Cessna Pilots Association is widely regarded as the industry standard in Cessna maintenance and technological strategy for owners, pilots, and maintainers. The Cessna Pilots Association offerings include a monthly full-color magazine, personalized on-demand aircraft diagnostics, one of the largest Cessna information archives in the world, and various FAA-certified model-specific systems and procedure courses. With that, I would like to turn this over to Mr. Jack Rogers. Thank you, Jack, for accepting our invitation, and I'm looking forward to your presentation.
Well, thanks, Mike, and thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I was really honored to get the invitation from you guys. So hopefully I can just share a little bit about what we do, and something that's kind of come up recently for us in terms of uh, sort of some business opportunities within GA, or just how GA supports business that we're pretty excited about, and just kind of highlighting our members and what they do and all the kind of amazing stuff that they get up to and use their Cessnas to support their, not just, their freedom of flight, but their businesses themselves. A little background too. We jumped on with, this will be kind of funny referring to the two CPAs, so I'll try to uh, I'll try to I'll call Colorado Pilots Association the CPA, because you guys are so generous to host me. And but so we joined as a corporate sponsor back in June, in just kind of an effort to connect with the local community more, and kind of the big players in terms of GA advocacy in Colorado. We were based in California for most of our history, and then relocated to Denver about 4 years ago. And we thought it was finally time to really kind of engage with the local GA community here, because it's really robust, and there's just a lot of alignment between Cessna Pilots Association and CPA in terms of just the safety aspect of it, kind of the advocacy that we all try to champion with GA, and the spirit of GA, and the freedom of flight, and kind of what it can afford us to do. So, yeah, I'm really excited about it. So, and hopefully everyone can still see my screen. If you can't, let me know, and I'll make sure you can. So, a little rundown on who we are. So we were founded kind of as we wanted to be the aviation department and management for every Cessna owner. It didn't matter how big your fleet was. It didn't matter if it was just you, or you and your buddies owned a few. This was back in '83, and around that time is when there was a lot of ownership groups and associations coming up in GA. And one thing that John Frank, our founder, noticed was, while there was a lot of really excellent groups out there, a lot of them focused on the community aspect and the lifestyle of flying, which we love, but there was a need for a group that was a bit more technically focused, something that really focused on safety, particularly with how many Cessnas are flying around, and you know where Cessnas, the piston singles, and some of the twins, but most of the piston singles sit in the market. There's a lot of need for education there. And John Frank and Chris Long, they saw that and really, wanted to be the end all be all in terms of Cessna support. Instead of having a giant aviation maintenance department and flight management team, we wanted to fill that role for people. We wanted to be your service manager. We wanted to be your parts manager. We're monitoring for any ADs that come up, service bulletins, STCs that people might be interested for their aircraft. And then, yeah, just general advocacy for GA and for specifically Cessna pilots and owners. Um, so what that has now turned into is, we've remained independent since we began. We're completely member supported, and that gives us a lot of ability to really kind of talk honestly about Cessnas and we're not kind of beholden to anything specifically or certain groups. And so that I think that's created a lot of trust for our members and kind of what it's become from there. And one of our kind of like little slogans that we like to use is, you know, being a member at Cessna Pilots Association, you learn more about your aircraft than 99% of owners ever will. And we want to position ourselves as the people who are created and supported by those members, those pilots, those maintainers who are really, really interested in quite literally the nuts and bolts of their aircraft. So, a couple of things that we offer, like Mike referenced, we've got a ton of technical resources. I think now we have the largest Cessna-specific database in the entire world. It's outrageous the amount of stuff that's in the wiki, and frankly, it's almost overwhelming. Um, but kind of within that, there are white paper engineering commentary on maintenance tips, interpretations of service bulletins, troubleshooting, and then with that magazine that we've been putting out for so long, we've got a lot of great articles based upon, like you see up there, uneven fuel feeding in single engine Cessnas. And while it gets really granular, we found that there's a need for this, and people respond to, you know, pilots love to know more about their plane than anybody else, and we like to help those pilots do that with their Cessnas. And so we're surrounded by all of our AMPs. Most of our writers are AMPs or have been pilots for years. Um, we have training and continuing education courses that we call Systems and Procedures Courses. If you guys are familiar with Paul New at all, he's kind of a rock star in GA. We love him. And he teaches, that's kind of him up there in the top left. He teaches these 3 and 4 day courses. We have them around the country. They're so in depth that we'll we have maintainers and AMPs come to the classes, and they can get recurrent training for inspection authorization through that. But a lot of them just do it because Paul and John Frank, who's now passed, but those guys have kind of written the book on 210 maintenance and understanding 182s. And so we've got a course coming up in Tulsa in about a month where a new maintenance group is sending 4 of their AMPs just to learn more about Cessnas because they're doing a ton of annuals on Cessnas right now. And they want to cut down on their annual time. And we think we've kind of got the best training course in the world for that. And particularly in the GA market, there aren't a ton of these courses being offered for people. And this creates a longer lifetime for these aircraft. Our members are very, very safe because of kind of the engagement they have with these courses. And just generally, like, with everything, it's pilot proficiency. It's maintenance proficiency. The more we know about it, the more we practice it, the more confident we feel about it. And that's one of the things that we take really seriously is a lot of our members depend on us for accurate information, and we take their safety extremely seriously, and we're really grateful that people trust us for that. And then a couple other things, John and some of our IMPs have written buyer's guides and inspection guidelines, and there's a great collection of 40 years of flying these planes, working on these planes, and for someone like me who's really, kind of just beginning my journey in aviation, like these resources are undeniably, it's particularly with not coming from an aviation family and then kind of beginning to really dip my toes in. It's a ton of guidance that I don't think can be found anywhere else. And yeah, and we have our magazine we put out that we quite like a lot, and it's full of, you know, great stories, great photos. Our writers are awesome, and it's something our members really enjoy. But so kind of what have I been talking about? What's the point of this all? Like I said, with being a younger person in aviation, particularly GA, coming up through MSU Denver and seeing kind of the general temperature on aviation. I always, for a while, I thought if you want to fly, if you want to be around aviation, you're either doing the military or you're training to become an airline pilot. And GA is just for, a couple people to kind of enjoy, and it's really nothing more than an avenue to get to the next place. And since joining CPA and seeing the engagement from our members, and not only how enthusiastic they are about flying and their aircraft, but what they use those planes for. So I've kind of been over a while just pulling data, just to kind of wrap my mind around this, because I think I conceptually knew that this is sort of what the GA market looked like, but when you get to see it in person of just how much fixed wing single engine piston dominates the GA world, it kind of maybe reinvigorates me to see this as, this is a market, and this is a segment of aviation that is not only really important for us, but has a lot of demand in it. And I think as GA pilots and kind of groups who are here to support GA, I think we focus on our problems quite a lot. And I'm not gonna sit here and rehash all of those problems or say I have the solutions to them, because no matter what we talk about, like those problems are there. Fleets are aging. Insurance, of course, is a big problem, and manufacturers are kind of de-emphasizing these planes. But particularly with COVID and a couple other things that are coming, I think there's a very strong market that's still here, and there's a strong market for people, who need support and to use these aircraft and not just personal transportation and training, but for many other things. So much so that, you know, uh, this is a survey from 2023 that they compiled last year from the FAA. And I would be very curious to see what it looks like now, particularly with Mosaic and the big beautiful bill that's going through, and seeing what changes with that. But the GA market saw growth from that 2022 to 2023, modest growth, but almost 4%. And that was dominated by the single engine pistons. A lot of Cirrus aircraft, a lot of SR-22s, and then the Skyhawk, and again, most of those are going to flight schools, but there are still a ton of private operators of those. And as long as flight schools are flying these planes, pilots are flying these planes. And I think we can get caught up in the fact that if someone isn't owning it, then it kind of becomes something else. And like for me, particularly for someone who doesn't fly a ton, um, and I certainly don't own a plane, I go back to flying the planes that I learned in. I did get to compete in aerobatics, and that was very fun flying uh, extras and game birds. But that's not a very comfortable plane, and if you sneeze, you're doing a roll. So it's much better to enjoy your time flying around in a 182. It's comfortable, it's economical, it's fast, and they're incredible planes. And so much so that the market kind of demanded Textron to reintroduce the 182. They brought that back in 2022 after quite a long or 10-year pause. And that's kind of further indication from me and from the pilot community that there is still a desire for private ownership of these aircraft. A couple other things too. I won't stand too long on this. And what I thought was quite interesting was you see massive turnover and variance in the hours flown on turboprops and multi-engines, and obviously see a massive dip in COVID. And again, not quite as many hours, but piston, single engine, and two engine, steady, and steady growth from both of them too. And again, and I won't keep belaboring the point, flight school operations is a major part of this, but seeing from my side and seeing at CPA, our members are flying all the time. And particularly now in this kind of COVID uh, kind of fallout, and I don't know how much longer we're going to keep talking about it, but um, there's a need, and people have really enjoyed flying and kind of what it affords them. So, final last chart, and I'm kind of hitting a lot of charts right now, but one thing that I found very interesting and something that I would like for us to focus on more here at CPA is you see a couple of very consistent trends. One, personal use has pretty much stayed the same over the past 10 years. And instructional flights in terms of hours has gone up dramatically. And everything else has stayed relatively the same. What I was kind of really intrigued by was just the business without paid crew, business with paid crew. Um, I'm pulling from a sort of a unique segment, but a lot of our pilots use GA in support of their business. And I think as stewards of GA, I would really like to see that emphasized more in just the conversations around general aviation. It's not just executive travel. It's very, very real time usage of these planes that that creates business for our members in a way that nothing else could. So, a little bit of background. In March of this year, we were kind of going through a nice refresh in terms of the site, in terms of our marketing and advertising, and what better way to refresh it than with, pictures from our members. That's such a great endorsement of our people, um, and to share what they use these planes for. And 98% of our members are aircraft owners or mechanics, and so we wanted to champion them. So we sent out an email and basically we're soliciting photos from people, and it's as the responses sort of started trickling in, we were just making it a point to respond to everybody. One, to like make sure that, and we offered a free year of membership for everybody who sent in a photo. And we wanted to, as a way of kind of making sure that they were responded to and categorized and added to this raffle, we were responding to everybody. And when you respond to like 15 people, you're like, all right, I can still do this. But then there's 300 emails of people, and you're just like, all right, oh, that looks great. Like, thank you. But I'm really glad we did because, like with everything, every photo has an amazing story behind it. And our kind of like canned responses of like, oh, beautiful plane, where are you flying? Kind of elicited a lot of great stories from people, particularly people using them for their business. So this one, which we just featured in July, um, his name is Alejandro Gomez, flying his 182T. He started a mozzarella company in Colombia, and that they do business out of Colombia, and then their major distributors up in Virginia. And he uses the 182 to fly around the mountains of Colombia to source milk for his mozzarella. And like I wouldn't even like begin to think of that being a use case for this aircraft. But then you start going through it and it makes a lot of sense. He needs a high wing to be able to scout things below him. He needs it turbocharged because he flies out of Bogota and their airport's at 8,000 feet. So you start seeing like this makes perfect sense. And it's so mountainous and rugged in these mountains. There's no way that he would be able to access these cows from the ground, and there's no way he'd be able to really run this business and keep it scaling without the use of this airplane. So I'll create a link or something for people who are interested in reading that story. He tells such a great story, and I've had a great time kind of learning from him and how he uses his aircraft to, again, yeah, to do business. And a couple other people who I found really interesting is Sandro Guidetti. He is the principal engineer and head of a flight testing group called Datalian, and they're flying out of Iowa City, and they're using that plane as a test bed for new AI capability. And that's the hot button. Everybody wants to talk about AI, but that's a great opportunity for GA to, again, find use cases for furthering business. David Taylor up there in the top right, he is a very interesting guy. He is the president, CEO, and co-founder of VersaBank. At one point, he was operating the largest fleet of 337s in the entire world as a kind of a remote wildland firefighting service which was part of Air Tindy. Um, and he also started a company called Top Aces and was a civilian NATO training group for fighter pilots. And he's like telling me all of this stuff as just like, oh yeah, it's totally normal. And what he's sitting on is he modified a P337H that he's dubbed the Sky Vet because he has replaced the engines with Corvette engines. And the plane, again, he's like, I need an airplane that can operate out of remote airstrips, um, that has really great endurance, and I can have single engine operation on it and still be able to cruise fine and be able to get out of weather. Because at the time, they were still operating this forest firefighting fleet. And now, he uses it to travel around all over Canada, all over the United States, and that's a direct value add with GA for his business. They're headquartered on an airfield. Their bank headquarters is on an airfield. Down on the bottom left, John Brain, he has a marketing company in California that he uses this amazing Javelin 210 to travel the coast of California to take on marketing projects. And he does property marketing for high-end clients trying to sell their homes and real estate. And just as an aside, if anybody knows anything about the Javelins, it's this conversion of a pressurized 210 that was kind of infamous with Air America, and Air America being the the CIA civilian kind of operation airline that they would use in South America and in Africa. And he was able to get his hands on one of these, and he's really done it up. And as you can tell, I mean, that's just a killer looking bird. And then finally, Tim LePage, and all of these are members, like I said, too. And there's so many more I could pull out of. And he owns a safari expedition company, and they fly all over the world he's got a 210, he's got a 182T, and they use these for tours. They use them for moving around people between remote locations. And um, so the point is, again, coming into this as a younger person, trying to figure out what GA really means. It's not NetJets or Wheels Up. It's not just flight schools. These are actual people who are using these aircraft every single day. And that's been really encouraging to me because, I look at the market today, and again, so that like it makes me believe that there's opportunity for us to explore. And if anyone's been kind of keeping up with Mosaic, this has been kind of a long time coming. But basically, it's expanding certification for LSA pilots. So now LSA pilots can operate up to a four-seater. So, and the weight restrictions have been removed, so they can fly 172s and 182s. They're now allowed to operate in certain commercial capacities in terms of kind of aerial scouting and forestry work, etc. And also with the one big beautiful bill, now business owners can write off 100% of the bonus depreciation of an aircraft. And that, it I'd love to sit here and, me personally be like, oh, I'm a business now and I'm buying $1 million plane. But there are so many people out there, there are so many businesses who have this capacity and who've waited for this to happen and can expand the capacity of their GA kind of applications. And, GA still supports a ton of people in terms of work, creates a ton of money for us. And I guess I've had a big sort of mindset shift of thinking of kind of business, quote unquote, general aviation as executive transport. But it's really not that. It's so much more than that. It's a tool to be used that I would like to see used more, and kind of this me just asking our members for pictures to use has kind of really changed my mindset on what GA can be, and kind of opportunities for us in this segment to kind of move forward and continue to support, our members and other people in the GA community, not just Cessna related. So um, that's kind of what I got for everybody. I really appreciate it. Was excited to get to share a little bit of my excitement about CPA with everybody, and Mike, I don't know if you want me to see if there's any questions or anything like that, or open it for discussion.
I don't see anything in the chat department, but if anybody has any questions for Jack, go ahead and ask away, please.
You can either unmute or just type them into the chat if you want to. We'll read them off if you do that.
Okay. I'll start it off. I found an article in Aviation Consumer today, but it wasn't dated. And I tried to figure out when the date was, but it gave a short history of the Cessna Pilots Association. And it was sad to learn that John Frank, the founder and president, passed away June of 2016. And it said at that point in time, or at the peak of the association, there was over 14,000 membership. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Another interesting item I read in the article was Mike Bush was
Yeah.
associated with the organization. I follow him in the Open magazine, and in fact, last fall he was one of our presenters. So very, very talented individual. I really like him. Is he still associated with the organization?
He is loosely.
Okay.
He's so busy, and
Right.
Savvy is just crushing it.
Yeah.
But we have a ton of articles that he's written for us for the years. And I've been trying to get him to write more again, but he's on podcasts now. He's on every interview, and so yeah, I'm a huge fan of Mike, and I think with Paul, uh, really kind of the best in the biz in terms of GA maintenance guys.
Yeah.
They're really, really top notch.
Yeah. Another thing you mentioned earlier was Wiki. Could you go into a little bit more explanation of what Wiki is?
Yeah, so it's our database that we have, that's just kind of aggregated all of this technical content that we've had for years. What John Frank Sr. did, which I thought was a stroke of genius, was before we had our online ticketing system, we had a call line, and he those were all recorded and have been transcribed into text documents. So outside of, we have, and I can try to share this and maybe add it as a supplement at the end with when we edit it, but on the wiki, there are thousands of service bulletin announcements. There are every single AD for every Cessna piston is gathered there. Any STC you can think of. And we also, kind of like I had in that first uh, slide, there's a lot of commentary that either John or Paul or Mike have written about specific issues, um, or potential upgrades that that pertain to these planes. And so we've got that. We've got every magazine we've ever published. We've got model histories of every piston Cessna. Um, we've got everything from Lycoming and Continental in there. It's just this amazing database that it has everything you're looking for in terms of maintenance troubleshooting for your Cessna. And we're really proud of it. It's also undergoing a bit of a overhaul right now because it's so big that it's almost a little daunting to get through. So we're doing the work of getting it cleaned up and a little bit easier for people to manage because there's a really unbelievable amount of proprietary data in there that we're really proud of.
Excellent. One of our viewers asked, what is the price of a yearly membership?
So we have two options. One of them is 55 a year. That's just for a digital only membership. And then there's 85 a year, and that will get you a print magazine shipped to your door every month too.
Okay, great. You mentioned that your next class or in-house class is going to be in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Is that correct?
Yes.
And how do you sign up for that, and what is the cost?
So that's on our site. If you just go to Cessna.org and go to the shop or courses page, you'll be
Okay.
able to see it's for our legacy 210s. Um and it's let's see. That's a th that's a 4-day course. So it's
Well,
13.95 for non-members, and then it's 12.95 for members. And that kind of comes with a huge course handout. You get a big binder full of everything, and you'll get access to video recordings of the course that you can revisit. And it's about 50-50 time spent between just general classroom work, where Paul will literally tip to tail go through everything about these airplanes. And then the other half being in a hangar or on the ramp, kind of putting together what was discussed and actually working on the plane. And the last course or the last day of the course, you end up kind of going through a whole inspection together as a team. And we have a nice mix of pilots and maintainers who go to it. If you attend in person, you do get a certificate of completion that, again, so for maintainers, they'll send it to their FSDO for an IA renewal. And a lot of our guys will also send that on to their insurance providers, which helps them get a little bit of a lower rate, just because it's so intensive. So there's something for everybody there. It's not just for maintainers, or it's not just for pilots. And it's a nice mix too, because we cap it at typically about 25 to 30 people. And so everyone has a lot of time to interact with each other, and um, everyone's getting dinner together afterward to discuss things. And it's a great place to just talk shop with other pilots too, afterwards. And uh, yeah, we're really proud of those courses, and we're really grateful for Paul for doing them.
Excellent. Anything upcoming here in Colorado?
We're working on it. I'm trying really hard to get us. We're thinking about doing our own kind of like trade show slash fly-in, and that would be looking at next year. And then
Okay.
we would love to, help out with and join on the mountain flying courses, because particularly as someone flying here, I think that's such a great thing that CPA offers, and I think it's really unique, and it seems like people really, really enjoy them. And I think there's a lot of similarities between our courses and the mountain flying course. So, yeah, we would love to kind of be a part of that with you guys.
Okay. And the big one, unleaded aviation fuel. As I don't know if your organization takes a position on that or helps owners with the making a decision whether to go with the 94 UL or the 100 UL, or what's the take on that with the organization?
Yeah, I don't want to speak for some of our AMPs, and I think everyone's got a unique perspective on that. And as a non-mechanic, as a non-AMP, um, you know, I don't think I have a strong enough background to really, really address it.
Okay.
But that's kind of a great caveat into what one of the reasons why we wanted to partner up with you guys is, uh, after John Sr. passed, our kind of involvement with advocacy in DC had taken a bit of a back seat, and we were ready to begin again of really trying to look out for GA and partner with people who were doing such a good job of it. And that's one of the reasons why I was originally referred to a CPA, because I was speaking with Gabe Elliott, I think is his name, at CABA, and just trying to figure out who are the best people to, or Brad Elliott, I think, to who are the best voices in GA in Colorado in terms of advocacy, and you guys were at the top of the list of that, and so that's what we're here to support, and we're here to kind of rally behind um, the causes of CPA and how good of a job that you guys do there. So
Okay. And I also read that John Frank III lives here in Colorado. Was he already here before the association moved to Colorado?
no, he moved here and moved the business with him
Oh, okay.
after Big John had passed.
Okay.
So yeah, he's our president and owner. And yeah, I think he's done a great job of kind of ushering us into kind of the new world of how we can go forward with this, and I'm grateful he moved it here too because I'm in Denver and I wouldn't have been able to be a part of this if it weren't for him.
Yeah. Okay. One of our viewers is asking, can members get personal help with an issue, or does CPA only provide help with magazine articles?
So, like I was saying earlier, we have a dedicated ticket kind of support system. So instead of phoning in, if you sign in, you can fill out basically a request form or a ticket that you can write out everything that you need to. You can attach videos and photos, and then we'll connect you with whoever is our best guy for that. Um, and it's nice to like start a paper trail with that, to be able to refer back to that, and um, it's a bit easier for people to get the help that they need. And yeah, so you can sign on and submit a ticket whenever you want, and yeah, we'll just connect you with the right guy, and whether it's just part sourcing or you've got engine issues, we have a tech who will help you with that, and who I personally think are kind of the best in the industry at that. So yeah.
Okay. We have another attendee. They're having a bit of an issue seeing your picture. So they're asking if you could take off the screen share and just have your picture on the computer.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
there we go. Excellent. Okay. Perfect. All right. All right. Okay. All right. So going back to your website, I did review that. There's a lot of courses on there, ladies and gentlemen. There's in-house and there's, or I should say, online and in-person classes. There's reference books. There's all kinds of other books there. Like you said, magazines that go way back. I think 2019 was one of them that I saw on the website. So there's a lot of information there. A trove of information. It's like the Library of Congress for Cessna. I was pretty
Yeah,
surprised.
it's really impressive. I think, and so yeah, and a couple things with that, with the online courses and the in-person courses. Uh, the online courses are cheaper, and of course, it's do it at your own pace. A big thing though that I want to make sure people understand is just due to FAA regs, we cannot give you a certificate of completion unless you attend the course in person. But outside of that, they're direct recordings of that specific model's course, and you have access to all the same study materials. And if you don't want to do 15 hours of work all in a couple of days, yeah, you buy it once, you have access to it for the rest of your membership and forever. And the magazines that are listed for sale, that's just some of our members like to. We just have a little bit of magazine overrun that we have at the office, and people like to get an extra one and gift them. But every single magazine in digital form is in the archive going back to the 80s. And if you're a member, you got complete access to that and everything else. So,
Okay, good. Anybody else online that would like to ask Jack a question? Please put it in the chat or speak up, unmute yourself.
Hey, this is Brian. I got a question. Of course. So do you have any sort of mechanism or do you do any feedback to Textron for existing models, or like if there's a challenging issue with an existing model that's already out there, do you get involved with stuff like that?
So there was a time when that was happening a bit more, and then Textron a couple years ago almost wanted to they were less likely to want to kind of work with us. And then now has sort of come back around to kind of re-engaging with them. Um, so so at the time, right now, it's not happening as much as it used to. And that's something that I'd like to see, particularly as, they're de-emphasizing a lot of these piston models, and um, we're kind of de facto becoming a source for information and kind of continuing maintenance on these more so than they are. And it'd be nice to kind of renew that partnership a little bit, and collaborate more instead of just kind of being there. So,
I was wondering how much they, I mean, because it just seems like you've got a huge value for the information that is available, and
And what we do also, I mean, we do have a fair amount of, we had two Textron guys come to our course down in Tennessee a couple months ago, and they really enjoyed that, and I thought that was a nice signal from them and from us of wanting to be a bit more collaborative again.
in your on-site sessions where you're doing the maintenance and whatnot, is that based on the individual that's giving the presentation, or is there something unique about the particular location that you're doing them at?
So part of it is we try to space them out around the country just for access for people. Paul he operates his own shop down in Tennessee outside of Memphis. So, we kind of get free run down there with his stuff down in Jackson. And that's kind of a nice sort of southeast central area that most of the East Coast can get to. And we found that our most engaged members for the courses are coming from more southern states than northern states. Every couple of years we have Sporties will host us in Cincinnati, and but our kind of very continued ones are Jackson, Tulsa, very central. We have a ton of Texas members, and growing Colorado members, and also easy to get to from Kansas and kind of more of those central states. And we just have a nice relationship with who we work with down there, and that's where we do most of our video recordings. And that's been kind of an ease of use thing. And then in California, just because we were there for so long, a lot of our members also are in California, and that's just kind of it's been a consistent home for us. And as you might imagine, we've got more sunny state flyers than not, just in terms of where people are located. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just kind of, I'd imagine that you've got members just all over the place that and it's just a smattering of different types of models. What's your most unique Cessna model that you have members with?
well, I mean, I would say that Javelin because there's only a couple of them around now. But our most engaged members, I don't know if in terms of uniqueness, I mean, we have a couple 177s and stuff like that, but our most engaged are definitely our 210 and 182s. And I think that's just by
Sure.
nature of Big John being, he was a 210 guy himself. And, you know, the people who are attracted to those planes are naturally more attracted to being a bit more engaged with their ownership, and it's not that entry level 172 anymore. It's a plane that you're growing into rather than starting with.
Right, right.
I would love us to do more with 180s and 185s just because I think they're so cool. And we've got a couple people who have them on floats up in Alaska and like in the lake areas and stuff. And yeah, those are great. And one of our new writers, Richard Weisenbach, he's a big backcountry guy flying up in Montana and down in Colorado. And um, so, to me, backcountry flying is just a new kind of realm of exploration. And so I would love to see us do more of that. And I like that Richard's now working with us and kind of opening that up to more of our northern members and people who are interested in, getting in the mountains.
Cool. Thanks. That's all I got, Mike.
Okay, another attendee is any TR-182 courses coming up?
Yes, but that will likely be early next year. We haven't done that in a little bit, and there's a lot of demand um, that's been popping up from that. So if you are a member, um, you'll get an email newsletter for that. But you also can just sign up for the newsletter too, and you don't have to become a member, and just have some course interest, and you'll be updated on that. I can't give an exact timeline on it, but that absolutely will be happening next year.
Okay, good. Another attendee, good presentation. I will be signing up tomorrow.
Sweet.
Excellent.
Thanks, Daryl.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, well, thank you again, guys. It's been really nice getting to know everybody over at CPA and yeah, I'm just really honored that I got to chat with people and share about us a little bit more and what we can do. And we're here to serve you guys. I exist to serve our members as best I can, and um, I want to do that too for our commitments to you guys too. So I have my email listed in the presentation. I'll put it in the chat. People or just want to reach out or have questions or anything, shoot me an email whenever you want, and I'll get back to you because yeah, that's what I'm here for, and that's what we're here for. So
Okay, so that's Jack at Cessna.org.
yep,
Very good. Well, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. We really appreciate it.
thanks, guys.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and look for us next month. Okay. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you.